Have you found DAX a bit daunting? Are you afraid in getting lost in the complexities of DAX? Do you think DAX is only for experts? I understand how it feels because I've been in your shoes. As a matter of fact, all Power BI users have been there. But hey, there's good news. You can absolutely do it. With a little bit of guidance, a little bit of practice, you will be crunching numbers and you will produce valuable insights in no time. In this video, we will be breaking down the basics of DAX aggregation functions with easy to follow examples. By the end of it, you will feel confident enough to use DAX and supercharge your reports. Today I'll show you the difference between regular aggregation functions like SUM, MAXX, COUNT, DISTINCTCOUNT and their iterative counterparts, SUMX, MAXX, COUNTROWS and CALCULATE. But first, what is DAX, or Data Analysis Expression in its full form? DAX is a formula expression language used in analysis services, Power BI and Power Pivot in Excel. It includes functions, operators and values to perform advanced calculations and queries on data in related tables and columns in tabular data models. DAX formulas are used in measures, calculated columns, calculated tables, and row-level security. Let's start with the regular functions. They operate on columns, summarizing the data without iterating row by row. First, let's add a new card in the report where we can add the measures that we're about to raise and visualize the results. Let's begin with the very basic aggregation function, which is SUM. It calculates the sum of all values in a column without considering any filters. For example, let's create a new measure that returns the total sales. Right-click on the table you want to raise the measure in and select New Measure. In the formula bar, type total sales equals SUM sales line value. Close the parentheses and set the number of decimal places to 2. Now let's add this measure to the visual and see what it returns. As you can see, it returns the sum of all rows and all values in the selected column. Next, let's find the maximum sales value. For this, we will need to use the MAXX function. Create a new measure and name it highest sales. It equals to MAXX sales line value. Press enter and again set the decimal places to 2. Let's add it to the visual as well. Next, you might want to know how many orders we have. For that, we can use the count function. Let's create a new measure, which we will name total orders, and it equals to count orders ID. This will count all the IDs in the order table, regardless of if they are unique or not. If you want to count the distinct values in a column, then you need to use the DISTINCTCOUNT function. Let's create a measure that returns the unique customers. Create a new measure, name it unique customers, and it equals to DISTINCTCOUNT, orders, company ID, close the parentheses and press enter. And there you have it, 4 of the regular aggregation functions. Now let's move to the iterative counterparts, and before we go through each of them, let me explain to you what are the differences between them and the regular functions. A regular function works at the column level, summarizing all the values in that column without considering individual rows or filters. The iterative functions evaluate each row of a table, allowing you to do calculation for each row and get results that consider the context or the filter. But everything that I'm about to show you will have no value if the data is not cleaned properly. If you would like to know how to clean data and you want to know the 10 essential tools that you need to know, then click on the link and watch this video. You can pause this video and come back to it later, or if you want to watch that video later, you can use the link in the description box below. Now let's get back to the task at hand and add the new card visual so we can check the differences between the two types of calculations. First, SUMX, and we will name this new measure total revenue before discount. It equals to SUM. And first we have the table that we want to check the rows of, which is sales, and then we have the expression to calculate, which is sales quantity times sales unit price. Press enter and set the decimal places to 2. Drag the measure to the visual, and as you can see, the results are different from the first calculation because we added a new context, which is to ignore the discount. Now let's get the maximum sales value for the same context, and we will create a new measure called highest revenue per order before discount, which equals to MAXX sales quantity times sales unit price. As you can see, we have a different result, and that is because we have changed the context, something that you can't do with the regular function. Now let me show you two other ways of changing the context, and that is by using filters. First one, create a new measure called orders after date, and it equals to COUNTROWS. And here we can add a filter using the filter function. It has two components, the table to be filtered, which is orders, and the filter expression, which is order date to be after date, and for year will be 2023, month first and day first. Close all the parentheses and press enter. I know you might ask, what is the date function and how does it work? In the next video about DAX, I will go over the date time functions and how you can use them all. Returning to our measure, you can see that it only returned the number of orders after the set date. Another way to add filters is by using the calculate function. This function will allow you to add a filter based on a condition in a related table. So let's create a measure that returns the total sales for a specific region. We will call this one total sales A1, and it equals to calculate. And first we have the expression to calculate, which is sum of sales line value, and next the condition or filter, which will be area name equals to quotation marks A1, close the quotation marks and then close all the parentheses. Press enter and then set the decimal places to 2. As you can see, now we have the total sales, but only for the orders where the customer is in the Area 1 region. Now that you've created these measures, you can use them in your reports. Drag and drop them into tables, charts, or any visualizations to see your data summarized in real time. But now you must ask yourself, but which function should I use? The regular one or the one that is more advanced? Well, the answer to that question is use both. And here is how you can decide which one to use. If you don't require a filter, then you use the regular function. If you require to filter your data based on a certain condition, then you need to use the most advanced one. You do need to remember though that every time you perform a calculation, the performance of your report is affected. So, if you don't require to make the calculation, then don't do it. That applies to filters as well. So, like I said before, if you don't need to filter anything, use the regular function. And to show you how you can do that, in the near future I will post a video on how I transformed this report that was created without using any measures. You can find the link on how I created this report in the description box below. In the meantime, practice and practice some more. The more you will practice, the easier it will become to use DAX. The more you practice, the more complicated the measures that you create will become. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel and maybe ringing the notification bell. This is Telian signing off. See you next time. Cheerio!